Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives, and I am so excited to welcome a group of dancers who helped define an entire generation. You know them as the stars of Madonna, Truth or Dare, and the incredible documentary Strike a Pose. Please welcome Jose Xtravaganza, Carlton Wilborn, and Kevin Stea. Hi, boys.
Hello, Jess.
When was the last time the three of you hung out together? It seems like you guys are regularly in touch. Like, when was the last time you were all had dinner together or in the same room?
I think the last time that we did was when we went to see M's last show.
Yeah.
You went to see it in LA?
In Palm Springs.
Oh, that's fab. Oh, Palm Springs. Yeah. And so what did you
Friends
guys...
and family. It was fun.
That's great. That show was such an homage to everything she's done before. I was shouting from the rooftops that I felt the entire stage should have been the red bed. Right?
Yes, that would have been kind of crazy, but it's okay if you think like that. Sure,
Imagine trying to do a whole show on a raked soft bed.
Because that, to me, that's the most, to me, that's one of the most iconic images from your tour. And for her to bring that back, let's just make that the whole I felt like we could have done more. Were you surprised?
Well, that was a Lewis number. So, Lewis, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, why not?
Were you surprised that she brought that back?
The song or the bed?
The bed.
Was the bed on stage?
I don't think
yes,
surprised,
the bed.
Jess,
The bed was on.
It was.
Oh, with the
surprised because it was iconic. It was a moment in that tour that everyone talked about.
Yeah.
So, of course, as she's going to be honoring the things that stood out over the legacy of her journey, that moment that Lewis and Jose did with her should have been done. So it made sense.
It challenged so many
what
things.
He said.
Female sexuality, owning your own sexuality, and this androgynous sensibility from the boys, and even in a supportive sort of position, that in this patriarchal kind of society that we had going on all around us, she was really fighting against that, and that's why I think it has such legs.
Yeah. Well, I want to start with, what are each of you doing right now? What are you, Kevin, you just got back from a tour. I'd love to know what each of you, quickly, what projects are you excited about that you're working on currently? And then we can, move around in time and get to know each of you.
And then go talk about your fabulous tour, because I saw it.
Yeah, so we'll go first we'll go Kevin.
Well, super excited to have done this tour with AIDS Healthcare Foundation celebrating International Condom Day. We went to all these different cities, and it was a free show. Just Kylie Sonique Love was our lead, and it was with 5 other dancers that I've known for 35 years, that we all used to dance with Prince together, and then the ensemble was all young and up-and-coming dancers, so the entire thing was just this nonstop circle of inspiration where we're getting to see these young dancers and know that the future of dance is in good hands, and that technique is still alive and well.
And Carlton, what about you? What are you super excited about?
What's super exciting right now, I guess the teaser that we'll have a whole lot more. I'm in the process of getting set up with my own scripted series. And so that has been a lot of gangbuster movement as we speak, even some texts and things going out today. And so I can't say a whole lot more about that, but that's got the breadth of my focus these days.
Kevin, I know that you've worked with Gaga in the past. What specifically did you do with her?
I did Poker Face.
Did you help choreograph it?
No, I was in it. I was sitting there right there on the couch with her, dancing with her, everything. And it was before she had really broken through. She had only had Just Dance out, and Poker Face is the single that really broke her out. And I'm just so delighted to meet her and before she was super, super known, because she's probably still the same now, but she had such an energy and such a focus on the product and doing something creative and amazing and interesting. Not about I need to look this way, or I need to look good, but more about how cool is this outfit? How cool is this beautiful piece? I made this last night. I was working with the designer on this, and I'm so excited to show this and share this. And that's what art is about. That enthusiasm and that connection to something that you need to express.
I'm a huge Gaga fan, and I keep saying to friends that Gaga is our last great new pop star of the past 15 to 20 years. I think she's the defining moment in this generation.
She's not afraid. She's not afraid to look ugly, scary, crazy. And that sort of fearlessness is important as an artist. There's a lot of pop girlies out there right now that they're gorgeous, they're cute, they're pretty, and that only lasts so long. That's a very superficial level of artistry and expression, and it takes something deeper to have legs. And I think Gaga really has that.
What did you?
And let's not miss the brilliance, if we're talking about artistry and that freedom of expression. Doji is fucking tearing it up right now.
Oh yeah,
she's all over the place. Doji is laying down such hard stuff, and I think her story, right, going back to feeling thing, her story is what grabs people also. That she was only a few years ago barely financially busted and suffering, and trying to see if somebody was going to play her stuff, and then got to
they hit me up for an outfit. She wanted to look like Single Ladies, and they hit me up for an outfit. I was like, I don't have an outfit. I don't know who this person is. This is like, what, who, how?
I love Doji. I love Doji.
Yeah, I love her also. It's interesting when we talk about these modern day pop shows. There are tons of dancers on stage. And your seminal show, the Blonde Ambition Tour, as everyone knows, it was just 7 of you. At the time, 7 was a lot. And now it feels like there are 15, maybe double that at least. Even Gaga's dancers or Beyonce's dancers.
Well, that 7 number that you bring up, I just want to dive into that.
Yeah.
Is like surprising, because I don't even think in my system, when I go back to what we did for the Blonde Ambition Tour, I am left with the impact of it, right? And so, as you so distinctively make clear, shit, I forgot it was only 7 of us. It felt like it was a much bigger body of humans because of how intense the power was that came off of the stage. But that just speaks to how much each individual artist had as one individual entity that could do like a double bang effect, basically, at the end of the day. That's just cool. It just felt like it was more. So that's wild that you're saying truth, which is like was only 7 of us.
And I think the reason why each of you are so memorable, I know that she, through the audition process, or maybe it was once you even had the role, was she literally said, give me more of you. She wanted to extract your individual styles and personality. Can you talk about that? Like, what was the direction that you were given, and had you ever accessed that? But I mean, maybe Louis, you did in the ball scene, and I would love to hear about that. I'm extremely, interested in that as a New Yorker. Maybe Louis, if you want to start there, how the ball scene prepared you to really dig deep into your own personal expression.
So the ballroom scene was very competitive, very scary. So if you're not going in, armored up, then they'll eat you up alive. That being said, I was very scared. But I was, part of a House of Extravaganza. And so we were always dealing with, back then, not now, we were the only Latin house. So, we had to doubly be fierce. And I also explained this in our Striker Pose movie, where it's just like, we wear that stuff like a suit of armor. Like, don't get the eyeliner twisted. You know what I'm saying? So it's a fierce that it's not like, it's a fierce for myself. It's not a fierce to attack you or to, push you away. It's just a fierce for myself to walk into the room and be just as fierce as everybody else. So that's where, notion, that vibration came from for me. So when we were doing our ballroom competitions, that's what we brought to the table, including our technique, or from like ballet and modern, and infusing it into the Vogue technique, which was also helpful when we went and auditioned for Madonna and started to dance with Madonna. And she was so, taken with how fluttery our feathers were, right? Because we walked around and they were up. And now we're walking into this space with her. So, they were up and now they were out. It was like peacock time. And so,
are I correct that you guys didn't actually have to audition? You and Jose didn't
Yeah.
have to audition for
We
any
had
stuff, did you?
audition. Yes, we had. Oh yeah, we did. We auditioned with Slam.
Aside from the main audition, like you had your own time.
So we had our own time. We did a voguing thing at a club called Tracks, where we knew the DJ. His name is David DePino. He opened up track for us.
Was that in Chelsea or Meatpacking?
Chelsea on 18th Street.
Yeah.
And so he opened up the club. He's just started spinning records. They opened the side doors, and we were all just dancing. And she pulls up in a limo, pops out, and she comes into the club, which is empty, of course. And we just started voguing for her. And she was like, "Oh my God, this is so much fun. Wee!" And then we went out. And then she was like, "Come to the audition. Let's see what you got." And then we went to the main audition, and the last group was me, Slam, Jose, and stuff like that. In fact, the last two dancers battling it out were me and Slam at the very end. She was flicking her hair around, and I was like, "Oh no, bitch, not today."
And people need to understand, you are a classically trained dancer. You and Jose met when you were like freshmen in high school. You went to LaGuardia High School, the Fame High School, and
Madonna found that out at the audition when she started putting us through our paces, and we were keeping up. She was like, "Are you guys classically trained?" And we were like, "Yeah, why?"
And
Yeah, well, she just thought we were street dancers.
Ah.
She just thought we were club dancers, and which is fine, but you know, she didn't know that we went to high school for performing arts, so we had all this modern ballet, flamenco, jazz training, and so she was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So at the end, me and Slam were hitting it, honey, hitting it.
And how did you join the House of Xtravaganza? Because weren't you in a different house to begin with?
Jess, you have all of the information. Who are you talking to? Yes, I was in the house of LeMay before I was in Xtravaganza.
What?
Yes. God.
Why the switch from one house to the next?
Extravaganza sounds so much better.
Right?
It's a better name.
Ronald LeMay took me under his wing, and I was a LeMay for a little bit, which was really, really great. And then Jose became an Xtravaganza, and one day he was like, "Bitch, you should be in our house." And I was like, "I should, right?"
What was the main difference between the two houses? Like the style or the look?
Yes and yes. I mean,
Okay.
The House of LeMay was a little bit smaller than the House of Xtravaganza. All houses have this vibration of family, so that was the same throughout. The Extravaganzas were just a family that I was a little bit more comfortable with, especially because we were speaking Spanish to each other, and so we had this camaraderie, and it just felt a little bit more close-knit and special to me.
Do you know who Stephen Canals is? He's the man who wrote the original pilot script, and he was the showrunner for Pose. Like
Yes.
Ryan Murphy shepherded his script through production, and he wound up writing and directing the majority of Pose. And originally, Pose was supposed to be way more loosely based on Paris is Burning. And they had to change a lot because the Paris is Burning families weren't into it. They didn't want to give the rights to the likeness of the folks in that film. But your specific Paris is Burning story, how Jose is in it for a little bit, but how the whole butch queen and drag category was your original category. Can you, before we move on to the other boys with their personal style, I just want to get your take on just your experience with them filming that doc.
It's all the information, my God. Why am I here, Jess? No. Yeah, I was butch queen up in drag first. And it was a fun category. And actually, that's how I got into the House of Xtravaganza. It was because I won butch queen and drags 3 times. So.
And
Jess, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Of the 3 of us, which one of us do you relate to the most as a dancer? and why?
Wow. Well, I'm not a dancer, but
When you see us perform,
yeah,
who do you resonate to and why?
Interesting.
Just say
that's
Carlton.
such an
And then we
interesting
can move on.
question. It actually may be you, Carlton, because while like when I do something like this, I can be flamboyant and I can be more showy with my personality. Like, for example, like I'm a Leo, but my rising sign is a Capricorn. So I find that you're very Capricorn in your you know, they call you the pillar of strength. Like you did have this more mature, elegant way about you in what I've seen. And I think I move through the world, while I can have the flashes of the flamboyance, I think inside, deep inside my core is that more, I got to get shit done personality. And I think I sense that maybe in you, and you seem so controlled in your expression.
I love a facade. No, sorry.
I mean, am I right? I mean, I know that I'm like projecting a lot of this onto you, but does that make sense?
It makes
Yeah,
sense to me. I mean, going back to your question, when you said what we thought of each other when we walked into the room, that's what we thought when Carlton walked into the room. We were like, oh, damn, okay. Tall, black man, you know. Yeah, he was focused, and I was like, okay, we have entered the Thunderdome here. Yeah. So, you know, and we were trying to be cute in our little, hot pants and cute sneakers, and here comes clogs and overalls and like regular. And we were like,
1,000%.
I know. I was like, okay, I guess we're putting on our jazz shoes now. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Like, Carlton, were you always, did you always have that sort, or was it just because you were a bit older? And a bit.
Did I always take myself too seriously? Yes. Yes.
Like you kind of did have like a bit of like a paternal vibe.
That is definitely just kind of correlated.
Kevin is skeptical.
Kevin knows a lot of things, and I know a lot of things on Kevin. So be careful, bitch. Exactly. Yes, Jess, I came from the concert dance world, right? So that in and of itself has a certain vibrational thing that's not as playful like the commercial industry dancer vibe is. Like the concert dancer thing just is a little bit more bass, like it's your day job, like it's your blue collar is what it feels like concert dance is like. And so yes, and being classically trained for sure.
Kevin was commercial face. Kevin was like, hi everybody.
He was
I was like, Kevin, for you, sort of how I posed it in the beginning, how she really wanted to reach into each of you and extract the core of your style and personality. Like, what was it that you for each of you, actually, what was the trait that you dialed up?
I had been through a trial by fire by being in college in Singapore and like studying my ass off and having to remember 2 years of things, like the level of sort of brain working as I had to juggle back then, I brought to this job. And with that, I brought this sort of work ethic of really giving my all and knowing that everything is possible, anything is possible, and going further. And what can I learn? What can I learn? How can I grow? What can I get from this? I was obsessed with absorbing all of Lewis and Carlton. I really haven't talked to you that much about this, but like because you're an older man to me. I mean, I was 20, barely turning. I was 20, and you were 26 or something. And so, like, I was looking at you as an adult. Like, I really looked at you like you have this together. You've done this for a long time. You have this experience. So I really watched your work ethic, and I saw how you approached everything with you'd learn it, but then you always go into this little internal thing where you start like finding it.
Yeah.
You find it. And I really learned from that. And I still do that to this day. I do the same thing. I learned that really from you, like taking that and that work ethic and turning inwards. And Lewis, like with you, I think I saw something similar in both of you and, Jose and Madonna, where it's like that facade, which wasn't really a facade for me, but it was like this, don't fuck with me. Like all of you have that same sort of like, don't fuck with me, like, because I'm powerful. You know, I never understood that it was a facade until much later. But like, you know, I loved seeing that, and I wanted that for myself because I had none of that. Don't fuck with me. I was more like, hi, what's going on? Just like you said, what's happening? We're all going to do a good job.
What are we doing? Are we doing that later? I could do that. Watch. I was like, oh my God.
We can do it all. Like,
how do we turn her off?
Jess, I really love that question, and bravo to you for that question. That's a question that I don't remember an interview segment out of all these years that has ever come with that question. What's the trait that you had that you felt like you had to dial up in order to do what we did? And I would say for myself with that, never really thought about that, was ease.
Ooh.
I remember with Lou Conti, who was the founder and director of the Hubbard Street Dance Company. What I loved about the company and what Lou was really great about, which leads to my point, was having pedestrian-looking people that can dance in unison, but make it look really simple and easy. So by the time I got to M, I was really aware, one, as an individual and definitely as a male partner. I know that I learned early in my training from Lou and Claire Bataille and Baruti, my big ballet teacher back then, all from Chicago, as the male, how to put the lady at ease in your hands. And when I got in the position to be the pillar for M, and we were working with Vince Patterson, I knew that I had to give her the strength in the thing, but also let it happen in a way so that she is fully comfortable and know that she can take her body wherever she has to go, and I got you. Go ahead, Kevin.
I have a real answer. Like when you're really sitting there thinking about that exact question, I think my real answer to that is what I had to dial up was my exploration of who I am, like myself as an artist, as a person, sexually, all of it. Like she was so aware of herself and what she was presenting and how she was presenting it and what she was pushing out there and what she was up to in the world. And I had not explored that at all. And so that literally was like, who am I and who do I want to be and who do I have to be or choose to be or need to be? All those questions. And, you know, by the end, like, you know, she had a hard time getting through to me. I don't think she understood me, and I don't think I understood myself. And she very clearly said it. She's like, I think you're emotionally unavailable. And it really landed with me when she said that. And I was like, I don't feel like I am, but I present myself a little guarded because I'm trying to be professional and respectful. And that wasn't this space. This space is not about presentable and respectable and professional. This space is about artistic expression and being fully yourself. And so that was the dial I turned up, being me.
Which was what me and Jose were in the middle of when we arrived to that situation, right? We were in the middle of our being. And so walking into this space, we are the House of Extravaganza. We are in this moment now. We need to turn this out because this is who we are.
Because you were first hired to choreograph
Yes.
the Vogue video, and then you were invited to stay on for the tour. For choreographing the video, so you worked very closely with NIKI and DONNA on that as well. What were each of your relationships like with NIKI and DONNA, who I love and adore, and I've spent personal time with them, and they're so fabulous and fun. And
I mean, they're our sisters. I mean, I lived with NIKI for a moment in time, and there's a moment in my life where she was there when I was at a crossroads, and she was the voice that pulled me back from an abyss. And, I don't know if not owe in a sense of like I owe her something. I just is deep, and these gentlemen know it, all feel it and know it too, especially with NIKI for me. And, and DONNA, because she's such a little pooter. But with NIKI, she was like soul mama.
Jess, I think that for the ladies represented the template of how to get in right with M.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I view
How
them.
so?
in that they were the longest legacy in her camp.
They were already working
right?
with her.
So they had already been doing it and been asked back and asked back and asked back. Yeah. So when I got there, while I was really clear that Luis and Jose were standing in something that I wasn't comfortable yet to stand in, I still couldn't use them because they were still new to the package. But NIKI and Donna had already done the distance with him already. Yeah. So I was really like eyeballs on how they do it. How much humor do they let out? How much gravitas do they bring to the room? What kind of focus are they doing that I see she appreciates? So they were my template for how to do this fucking gig the right way and stay the distance with this woman. Watch them.
See, there's the adult in the room.
It's so true. Well, me and Jose were like, oh, girl, please, la, 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 la. Whatever, girl, la, 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 la. And then he's like, how do I? Yeah.
You know, in my time with NIKI personally, before Christopher passed away, she talked a lot about, I think she went to visit him. She talked a lot about how they had this enduring friendship for all of these years, which I so admired. Like, she really shows up in friendships I've witnessed firsthand. And each of you, in working with Christopher, because Christopher was the art director on Blonde Ambition, and then he went on to direct the Girlie Show, which I know, Carlton, you stayed on for. What did you take away from Christopher? You know, I don't know how close you were able to get to him, but, you know, with his recent passing, I really would like to sort of, you know, bring him into the conversation and kind of elevate any of your thoughts about him, what you learned from him, what you observed, because I think he was a genius in his own right.
He's the only reason I'm on the tour. You know, Madonna wasn't even looking at me in the auditions, you know, and then I did my freestyle, and he saw, I gave every style he possibly could, and he saw that, and NIKI saw that, and that's why I was brought in, is literally just because of Christopher. She was over in the corner talking to Oliver and Gabriel, who wasn't even paying attention. So yeah, I owe everything to Christopher, and he was so observant and so clearly appreciative. Like he didn't take things for granted. He was watching how we were interacting, just like she was. You know, she saw he and she both saw our social interactions and who we were for each other and the sort of our interpersonal dynamics. And, you know, he was concerned, and he took care of me through the tour. He would come, you know, on the side when Luis and Jose were being mean to me.
We were not.
Yes, they were being horrible at one point, but also I was an idiot. He took time out to literally make sure that we're okay and talk to us. And we went out to dinner a lot. I think he really appreciated us. He appreciated our talent, our art, our youth, our energy, all of it. And even, you know, as years pass and all our interactions and time together and chats and conversations and hanging out. And he was always the same to me. He was always loving and supportive. And I mean, he had some anger issues, I think, overall, and like some like frustrations with sort of the world and business at large. But like with me, always great.
Carlton, what about you? Any thoughts on Christopher?
Mine are complicated. I'll speak on it because it's important to say. And I've never really said this publicly, ever. And I do make this share. I've never shared this publicly, ever. But it's important that we know how to speak about people and how to hold people. And, you know, my thing with Christopher got complicated because there was a spell of time after the tour that I got a phone call from NIKI saying that she had a bone to pick with me, that she had been at a party and that Christopher had a ring of people around him exposing to everybody that I was HIV positive. And I had not made that public. And that came through someone that I was dating that was deep in the M camp. And that just, that finding that out, honestly, put me in hiding in Hollywood for about 6 or 7 years, feeling embarrassed to go out, feeling just that. So like, other than me going out to like make work happen, I went to no parties. I went to no social events because I had basically been outed in a camp that I was really insecure about it. Getting back to M, what does that mean in regards to me being hired in town? All of that.
Yeah.
And so I share that, I've made my amends with myself, and Christopher and I got to have a private talk about that years before his passing. But I just share that because it really did do something to me. And so for those who are out there that are getting wind of this interview, be careful what private on somebody, and then you feeling free and in your stank to stank, however fabulous you feel. Be careful what you land out to the public, because it can really skew somebody and how well they feel free to flow in the world. Be careful of that. That's why I share that information right now. I love Christopher. Listen, the reason that I love the Girlie Show and feel like the Girlie Show for me, the second tour that I got to go out on, stood out so much was because of the elegance that is Christopher, the classiness that was Christopher. For sure, that stuff I really watched. I love being a researcher, and I kind of pride myself on it. So like that version of me that's watching to learn, like I definitely was on Christopher's. He was on my radar in a really great way when we were working, just so I could further refine that thing that I cared about, but that he was masterful about taking to the next level and really blowing up an intimate elegance, but in a big way. That thing I would say that I took from him, and then that other thing that colored in there. So, that's just something I wanted to share. People, be careful.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I mean, I completely understand. And I also think that that's helpful for people to hear.
Yeah.
Something that I love and always share on social media every time there's a major election is the 1990 MTV Rock the Vote campaign. I mean, this is an iconic, like when this, surely you get tagged in these videos, maybe every year, I don't know. But, particularly like this year and maybe the last 3 elections have been the most important elections of our lives. How politically engaged were you at the time of that ad campaign?
I thought it was a hot pants commercial.
It was a Gap commercial, but they turned it into How politically engaged? Not very. And again, it was one of those things that another eye-opening moment for us, and how we need to vote. We must vote. It is our right. It was also fun. We did it in the village in somebody's like townhouse that they had in like their back courtyard thing, and they put up a drape, and it was very, an afternoon of fun. And I never thought it was going to be what it was. I was like, oh, this is fun, and we got to keep doing things with her. So that was what I was interested in. And I was just like, oh, we're doing another thing with her. Great, let's do it. Let's do this. Oh, and we're going to do this. Oh, great. So.
But how incredible to have that specific little, 30-second to 1-minute clip be part of your personal artistic legacy.
Listen, I would be remiss if I didn't feel just pride and gratefulness, and I think we all do, that we got to put our stamp, on history, whether big or small. People in the future will say, oh, these dancers.
Yes.
There was this time when this happened.
That's kind of crazy.
Right?
Kind of amazing. Yeah, it is.
And it was these dancers that did this, and then they did this, and then one of them went on to another one, and then they did Rock the Vote, and then they did it. I mean, it was just, all the stars aligned for all of those things. And she was also at a crossroads herself. She was going from rubber bracelets and lace to Gautier and Dolce & Gabbana. So,
well, what I love, and being sort of organically placed in a political movement is really, I would say, what happened for us, right? She had a movement. She was about a movement. She was sent here on Earth to be about a movement. And we got in the orbit of that. And then were political statements in and of our own selves without our choosing, which cuts us to where we are now, right? And I know that realizing that my voice had become so important for people over the years with political moments and just who's doing what, that's doing something to the collective, it gave me a bit more backbone to speak. Meaning being in the relation of the Madonna thing and what that became and what we all individually became, it gave me more nudge, I'll say, to say something, to have a point of view. And so where we are right now, you know, which is, if I'm going to be doing something, we're speaking right now, the political system that we're involved in right now, and what's up at, and what's at risk and what's at stake, now is an important time for us to have something to say about it. Yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
We could have easily lived and had our whole careers without ever being political, without ever having actually made a statement, without actually made a difference in anyone's lives politically or issue-wise or standing for anything. Like, that's kind of the norm for a lot of people just out in the commercial world. But we had this wonderful opportunity to actually say something. And it became very clear, I think, which is a gift, that our very existence is political.
Yes.
And that's what we're finding right now. Like, we have an opportunity to stand up to say something, to be vocal, to be visible. And people need to understand that their visibility is powerful and can save lives, and more important now than ever.
Seeing the 6, 7 of you in Truth or Dare, for a lot of them, that's the first time they saw a pride parade. That's the first time they saw two men kiss. You were radical. And it's wild that was 1990, and we're so far in the future, and in a way it isn't radical, but yet it is.
It is radical, and I think that radical, and going back to, you know, the reason that I shared the Chris information, which feeds into the entire M movement as I understand it, right? At the end of the day, it is all about empathy. This is what I'm learning right now in my life. And so I think that because right now, because of who is in office and who has not been nominated, but is having a lot of say about what happens in the office, it is important that we be radical. It's not the time to be silent. It's important for us to be radical in our empathy. I've been up against a situation with a really dear buddy of mine, and the only thing that's turned me, because I was ready to shut the shit down in real talk, and I've been a bit there in my quick draw in my life in general. You piss me the fuck off, you say the thing the wrong way, you show up in the wrong way, I'm done. That's Carlton's easy out. And while, yes, there's something to be said for boundaries, as I mature a little bit better, hallelujah, I'm learning, especially in this season, that we be radical in our empathy against those who don't do what we do the way that we do it. That's the only reason that Louis and Jose had become so meaningful to me. And when we did our other movie, Strike a Pose, and I'm watching it and like, oh my God, how did I lose sight of how powerful they were? Because I was judging them when I came into the orbit that was them being hired to do the Vogue stuff, and now they had the relationship with M. So they were fucking big and ginormous, and how they showed up. I was offended by it. One, because I couldn't be free on my fucking own. So I was threatened by their freedom, but I realized I never had a space of empathy to look at why they get to be so big. What is it about them, coming from what they come from, being inside of Xtravaganza, this only Latino group that's speaking so powerfully, at least that I knew of. So I just want to drive that home, you know, because that's where we are right now. And I think that the movement that the Madonna camp got us clustered in, we have a responsibility to some of this that is happening right now. That's what I want to share.
She had one of the most amazing answers. I can't remember what the question was exactly, but this interviewer was interviewing her back in our day, and her answer was something about like, why would I be upset or something, or why whatever? Because all I'm doing is showing you reality. This exists in the real world, and I'm showing you reality. It's weird that this can be radical when this is just the world, and the fact that people are contesting what's real, like yeah.
Kevin, shifting gears real quickly, Kevin and Lewis, the two of you have also been a part of many other cultural touchstones. We got to talk about two things. First of all, the two of you were in the Birdcage. I want to hear about that. But
Jess,
also,
you have all of the information.
but also, first of all, we're going to talk. Number one, we're going to talk about the Birdcage. Number two, you are not prepared for how obsessed I am with the film Showgirls. I have done extensive work on the movie Showgirls on this broadcast. And like I did a whole special.
Let's just say that I auditioned for both of those projects and got neither fucking one. So yeah, bitches.
You got Girlie Show.
It's too much for a man.
That is funny. Okay, wait. First of all, okay, Carlton, take me into your Showgirls audition.
I don't remember. Who cares?
Right?
That part, I didn't get it. I ain't fucking talking about this movie.
Oh my God. And was the Birdcage the roles that...
Same shit. I didn't get that either. Fuck them.
Okay, let's first talk about the Birdcage. Like how present were Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, Hank Azaria? Like how present were they? And how long were you how long was the shoot? Like just quickly.
We were there on the set for 4.5 months because they had dropped and added us for 1 week and they couldn't drop us again. So they just kept us there lighting and doing things and re-choreographing and trying different things for 4.5 months.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait, what did they drop?
When you do a drop and add, it means they can hire you and then they can only take you off your contract once. And when they pick you back up to start shooting again, they can't drop you again until the end of your shoot. So they were running behind. And so we just kept staying on. And they were trying to find things for us to do, like lighting and trying on different heels and new wigs. And how about this eyeliner and like walking around being, having questions about should I transition? Because it was like, wow, this is good. It's so easy. All it takes is lipstick.
What was Robin Williams like?
He was the one that was most engaged with all of us. I mean, anytime you walked by him or he came like to the dressing room or by the trailer, he would say hi. And literally he would dive into like his comedy. And so we were always laughing around him. He was really, really, he cared. Like he was always engaged. Even if you walked by to get a glass of water, he was all, hey, how are you? What are you doing? Oh, look at that wig. Like he was always engaged. And that was great.
He was fascinated with us. Like he was observing who we were. And of course, we were discovering who we were in drag as well. And, I felt very fortunate to have a few conversations with him because I guess his wife was Asian or his kids were mixed Asian or something. And so we kept going on like, oh, you're mixed and my kids are going to look like you when they grow up. And it was interesting.
And Kevin, when you were filming Showgirls, did you know this was a comedy?
No.
I don't think they know it's a comedy now.
No. She didn't know it was a comedy. I mean, here's the thing. The director was laughing about the fact, Paul, that he couldn't change a single word in the script because the script they bought for $5 million or something. It was the most expensive script ever sold. And they literally were tied to every single word of the script, no matter how bad those lines were. And so we were like tied, trying to make sense of these lines and like, how do we make this sound even vaguely human or real or normal? And I know Elizabeth did a lot of amazing work. And then he would say, just go over the top and do crazy whatever. And then that would be the take he'd use.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's so brutal and inappropriate and not cool. Like, you can't make a camp film without the people in it knowing that it's camp, because then it goes astray. Or at least it's not fair to the people in it. I mean, obviously it will come off as it comes off, and it's a masterpiece of camp at this point. But it's not fair to the actors in it when they're playing serious and then it's being approached as camp.
How many days did you film?
Oh God, we were there for 5 months. Because we had all these dance numbers and things, and then we had the scenes in the house with with the rape scene, all that stuff, and all the backstage stuff. It was a lot, and we had a big long process of rehearsals. Like we had a lot of rehearsals in the soundstage outside of Tahoe. There's
a comedian named John Early in LA, and he did a shot-for-shot remake of Nomi's audition scene. It's him, Cola Scola, Kate Berland, and it's all choreographed. He's in drag. I'll send it to you guys. It's like a 1 minute thing, and he stacks the videos like their version on top of the real version. It is unbelievable.
I love him. You're Gonna Die. There's a whole documentary called Goddess that we've shot years ago. And I don't know why it hasn't come out yet, but we gave them all of our backstage footage because me and Sebastian had video cameras. And so we were filming all the rehearsals, backstage, downstage.
They never really, it's not out?
No, there's another one called You Don't Know Me.
That I've seen.
Yeah, no, this is literally interviews with every single person in the film except I think Gina and Elizabeth. Maybe I think Elizabeth needs her own movie, but
yeah,
a redemption.
Wow. Yeah, I know for so long she wouldn't talk. Like she was so scarred by the Showgirls experience, and it was only when they did a screening of it at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and she was honored that she finally, I think, like accepted like its place and like was able to kind of look at it with some sort of reverence and like move on.
Never happened. Just like in all our lives, whatever's happened in the past, all those trials and tribulations and drama, that's what brought us here. That's what gave us the life that we stand on now, our foundation. And I think she finally embraced that and understood that she wouldn't have the work that she has affecting all these young women and making this difference for people in so many ways across the board. She wouldn't have this life that she has now without that happening.
Yeah.
That's the fire you go through to become the jewelry on the other side.
I guess, when we talk about the Strike a Pose documentary, I know some of you were hesitant to do it. Like Lewis, I think it was, you and Jose kind of had a pact. One of you would do it if only if the other one did it. What was the process for like selling each of you like on the idea to act? Like, was there anybody who was like, yes, I absolutely want to do it of the three of you? And who was like the last to sign on?
Well, I was the first to sign on with just simply because I was the first one that they met with. They flew out here from Amsterdam. We had lunch in Silver Lake. That was 2013, 2014 that we got the invitation, that we got a reach out through Facebook from them. So from, Blonde Ambition Tour 1990 till 2013, I think all of us are initially in question to anybody that wants to talk or feature us or do a thing because we don't know what the angle is like. But 10 minutes into when I met them, they were so specific and distinctive. And I guess the main thing for me was that they said out the gate was they had already positioned themselves and how to go about getting the movie made, that they wouldn't need her approval. And their angle for the movie was our individual voice.
Yes.
So nobody had ever approached me, at least, saying, I want to give you full right to say whatever you need to say. That's what was the initial rub for me to just say yes immediately out the gate.
Which is currently streaming on Paramount Plus.
Is it? And Lewis had to drag you kicking and screaming.
Yeah, it was Kevin for me. Kevin kept calling me. I'm like, what do you want? No.
Why were you so? What were you nervous about?
And dramatic effect.
Right. Well, and they reached out first, and I kind of, I don't know about this. Let me just ignore it for right now. And then Kevin called me. He was like, "Did you get an invite from these people?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "You should do it. We should do it." La 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 la. And so I called Jose, and I was like, "Did you get a call from these people?" He was like, "Yes, I'm ignoring them." And I was like, "Are you sure?" He was like, "Yeah, I think so." And then I was like, "Well, let me see what Kevin has to say. And then he goes, okay, well, if you do it, I'll do it. I was like, okay, well, if you do it, I'll do it. And so I spoke to Kevin. Kevin was like, no, you have to meet with them. Just trust me. And so I met with them, and it was like Carlton said. I took them. They took me out to a very expensive dinner. Hello, and then and it was and it was exactly what Carlton said, that they were very specific. And at the end of that conversation, then I was a yes, and that's when I called Jose. I was like, okay, I think we're good to go.
I mean, Jose's scenes with his mom are so. I mean, all of your personal story is so powerful, but his scenes with his mom, for whatever reason, are so emotional for me. And I was actually at the Tribeca premiere with all of you there, and it was so powerful and exciting. Was that the last time that the whole group was together or did you like tour around with the film?
We did a lot of different cities. I mean, I think over the course, I know for myself, because I have nothing else to do. I went to like
such a lot.
I went to literally 50 different cities over the course of like 3 years. So we kind of all met up in various capacities in different cities and things.
Sure. I would say that our last joint, all the guys, the 6 guys that are still here, was probably Amsterdam, because I remember when we got Strike a Pose, the producers said that they wanted to make sure that all the guys were on deck for what they called the big bangers. And the big bangers was the world premiere in Berlin, the US premiere at Tribeca, and the European premiere being Amsterdam, because the 2 producers were from there. So Amsterdam was technically the last time that all the guys were together. And then from those big bangers, they would offshoot Lewis to go to this city, Kevin and Lewis to go to this town. But all of us together did those 3.
I can't thank you enough. This has been so fun. I love seeing the 3 of you together. I think people are going to love this. Any final thoughts? Anything I didn't ask that you want to say?
Be bold, be outspoken. Right now, more than ever, don't be silent. We're not invisible, and our rights are at risk right now. Stand up for each other, and it's like one thing to stand up for yourself, but also to stand up for others.
Lewis?
Yes, a couple. Gratitude. God, I love these guys so much that it was an easy pivot. When the first idea wasn't gonna work out, I was like, well, then let's get Kevin and Carlton. Let's do this. And so, they were like, yeah, let's do it. And that is the kind of relationship that, 1, I'm grateful for, 2, I cherish, and that I'll have for literally my lifetime.
Beautiful.
We didn't all get along in the beginning. And the fact that we're all so in love with each other and have these relationships we were from completely different walks of life, completely different experiences. We can all relate and connect with others in our lives and in the world.
And I just want to share, to the bigger macro thing, as a final statement. I use this a lot when I'm coaching, and it's to remember what you're made of, right? And I can say this specifically for each one of us, already being an ethnic something. Kevin's folks already got a history, an ancestry of knowing how to pull the fuck up against the odds. Lewis's tribe of ancestors have their own story of knowing how to do it when the white folks weren't saying yes to us. Yeah. Same thing for me as a Black man. And I do have to say, and I was sharing this with somebody the other day, nobody really goes to put a thumb down on something that they actually think is less than them. We only try to freeze how far you can go if we really truly know you can fucking go somewhere. So the rub that's calmed me down right now, and surprisingly, it is actually giving me more of knowing how fucking brilliant and fierce I am, and actually don't have much to be scared of, because my kind always pull through. Lewis's kind always pull through. Kevin's culture we already got the history references that show try to hold us back and watch. So that's the closing statement for me, and by which I'm choosing to remind myself to live from when I do get in my feelings. Hold the fuck up. Remember, go look in the mirror, nigga. That's what you are.
Yeah.
So that's
I
my
love
closing
that.
statement.
Thank you
Amazing.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a
you,
great
Jess.
day.
I love you.
I love you guys.
So great to see you
Good luck,
both.
Kwame.
Everyone, please follow me, JessXNYC, on Instagram. Go over to the YouTube channel, Hot Takes and Deep Dives. Throw in my name. All of these interviews are available on YouTube to watch, and we will see you soon.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
If you want to feel more connected to humanity and a little less alone, listen to Beautiful Anonymous. Each week, I take a phone call from one random anonymous human being. There's over 400 episodes in our back catalog. You get to feel connected to all these different people all over the world. Recent episodes include one where a lady survived a murder attempt by her own son. But then the week before that, we just talked about Star Trek. It can be anything. It's unpredictable. It's raw. It's real. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.